I've even heard of situations where people give shame and they insist that it's love. And then when it's not received as love, more shame. Love. It's a word we use a lot. But sometimes we use the word love before we know what it means. Whoa. When I finally say, I will only deal in love, when we do this, when we give ourselves this gift, when we answer this calling on our life of true love, now I don't have to see my own shame projected onto someone else. My soul, or this deepest part of my being, the part of my being that longs for God, has been activated in this world, and it has said, this is love, and so are you. And I will not participate in any kind of shame or any kind of disappointment. I am love, and so are you, my friend. When I woke up this morning, I came to be brand new, brand new. When I woke up this morning, everything's brand new. And guess what? I found my love for you. I found my love for God too, yeah. As far as I heard, that's what all the commandments were for. I'm free, oh, I'm free, yeah, I'm free, yeah, I'm free. Love with the numinous, and I'm in love with the humanness. I've even heard of situations where people give shame to someone else, and they insist that it's love. And then when it's not received as love, more shame. Huh. Have you ever heard of that? It's one of those things that we allow. That's what I've come to understand about myself, is that there have been times when I have allowed that to happen to me. Or maybe, and I could think of it as, I came here to release that. That's what this time around is for me. Releasing that which is not love. At all cost. Yes? And then I think what happens is that when we make that decision for ourselves, we actually draw love out of others. Is this resounding with anyone? When I finally say, I will only deal in love, I cannot dwell in the realm of disappointment and shame. When we do this, when we give ourselves this gift, when we answer this calling on our life of true love, then now I don't have to see my own shame projected onto someone else, right? Because this my soul, or this deepest part of my being, the part of my being that longs for God, has been activated in this world, and it has said, this is love, and so are you. And I will not participate in any kind of shame or any kind of disappointment. I am love, and so are you, my friend. I have a lot of love for you. I have a lot of love. I have a lot of love. Who has a lot of love, said God. God has a lot of love, the infinitely deep well of wisdom, compassion, generosity, nurturing, and understanding. The true nature of reality. Yes, this is what I mean when I say God. It's one of those words, kind of like love, that's been misused a lot. A lot of us have a lot of resentments for that word. I have been there, but today I have a lot of love for you. I have a lot of love for you. Who? You? Me? We? Who? Who is this you you've been thinking you were? Who is this you you've been thinking you were? I have a lot of love for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have a lot of love for each other. All the laws have been fulfilled in this saying, that you love the Lord God with all your heart, your mind, your soul, your strength, and you love your brothers and sisters as yourself. You got to learn to love yourself first, don't you? Ooh, 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 ooh. Whoa, that's a big one. How do you fall in love with yourself without making it some kind of narcissist thing? Whoa, we haven't even really thought that through. Some of us are trying to. Ooh, ooh, I got a love for you. I got a love for you, and you, and you, and all of you. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Father, forgive us, for we know not what we do. Father, forgive us, for we do not know what we do. Ooh, 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 ooh. I have a lot of love for you. I have a lot of love. I have a lot of love for you. I have a lot of love for you. I have a lot of love for you. Boom, 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 boom. I was hoping we could dance. I got a lot of love for you, and you, and you. Ooh, ooh, I'm gonna love you like I love me. Yeah, na 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 mind with a certain discipline and respect. What is the work? What is the true work? What is the labor that is a true expression of our worth, my friends? Oh, where you storing up your treasure? Where you storing up your treasure? Where you putting your gold? Are you storing up the type of treasure that moth and rust can destroy? La, 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 la. I was told, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. And all these things will be added unto you. Say, don't you worry about what you're gonna eat, what you're gonna wear, where you're gonna lay your head, because I'm gonna make a way for you. I got a lot of love for you. Yeah. Can you believe this? Come on. Dance and sing, dance and sing. Come on, my friend. Dance and sing, dance and sing. I love you, I love you, I really, really love you. I love you, I love you, I really, really love you. What's that mean? It just means this song right now. It's like that, isn't it? Oh, come on. Is that what being in love is like? Not always. There's a lot of different ways to be, isn't there? Yes, as our friend Fred Rogers talked about, there's a lot of different emotions that we can experience in this world, right?
Excuse me. Excuse me.
And it's important to be able to talk about them. Yes? It's important to be able to help ourselves and know what to do for ourselves when we don't feel good, right? Or when we are in a situation where we don't feel respected or we don't feel cared for, right? It's important that we speak up for ourselves. It's important that we develop with those people who are in our lives, who we have relationships with. It's important that we develop ways of communicating together that aren't accusational, right? Because it's very hard for us to hear the other when we are being accused, right? So yes to standing up for ourselves, but a no to accusation, right? Because we know there is a more honorable way for us to stand up for ourselves than accusation. We do not have to side with the accuser to make ourselves powerful, right? Isn't that what we're doing when we begin pointing fingers? The accuser of the brethren, my brethren and sisterin. You've heard of this, yes? Oh, the accuser. I have embodied him. Have you not? Come on. Be honest. Let's take a look at ourselves. It's not always fun. And we have to do it carefully, because I've done a whole lot of looking at myself that was really mean, where I'm like manifesting the accuser for myself, because I think that's what's going to make me good, is like I'm going to look and see how bad I am, and eventually I'm going to form and shape myself into the good person, because I have the knowledge of good and evil, and I know what a good man is, and what a good man says, and what a good man does. Now, are we throwing morality out the window? Okay, that's just the beginning of the discussion. It's true, but it's good to have the discussion. I believe It's good to have a discussion. It's so good to be with you today, my friend. I went to C minor there at the end. 3 flats. So we make these transitions, don't we? We change keys. A lot of times we have to change keys in the middle of the day. But there is, I'm discovering, because of my privilege, honestly, what a liberation can come when we choose to allow a natural coming and going. As I make an honest search for liberation, or what I hope to be an honest search for liberation. I mean, how can we... It's getting to the place where sometimes that's been a lifelong thing of mine. What is honesty, right? What is honesty in a relationship? I mean, you probably know that question too. But I think that's where the privilege cannot take us, right? In fact, the stories all say, walk away from your privilege, yes? And then you will be enlightened. But then there's a strange thing we can do with those stories too. It's a self-degradating thing. It's the path of asceticism, right? It's that we believe that punishing ourselves will bring enlightenment, and apparently that's part of the path, right? And there's a certain amount of toughness that we have to allow to be generated or allow to arise from us, right? There's a certain discipline. We do have this will, and it appears that we have these bodies in which we either make ourselves a teaching for fear, or we allow ourselves to become a teaching for faith, hope, and love. And I don't know about you, but that seems like about the biggest bite I could possibly take for a lifetime. Honestly saying that I love God, and honestly being able to say that I love my brothers and sisters, and honestly being able to say that I love myself. I've heard it said that the discovery of the true self, the self that Ralph Waldo Emerson talks about in Self-Reliance in 1841, that this is that path to the authentic self is the path to God. Is that search for the authentic self is the search for God. All language passes away, and we are left with that which cannot be named, that which cannot be objectified. And we start off the morning practicing our scales, right? We awaken, and we use this will. We focus our mind. We discipline ourselves. We have lost our discipline. I mean, we don't have to go back very far in time to people like Thoreau and Emerson, who truly there was a discipline present for education. We're seeing that at this point. We're seeing a degradation in our intellect. I think that's a real thing. We're seeing a degradation possibly, or maybe it was just never built. I don't want to be saying we need to go back to the good old days. I'm not saying that, because I know there were no good old days, but I do think we can look at the past and see things like this. It appears to me that they're well, maybe it's just always been in a certain number of people, I suppose. Yes, I'm talking about all this like I really know something, aren't I? And isn't that the beautiful thing, though? Is I don't have to keep doing that. Right? I don't have to keep acting like I understand this whole picture. Once I start voicing what I know, and then there's this Socratic thing. There's this questioning that's going on in my own mind, and I think you could probably see it there, where I'm going to start talking about something really big and really wide about education, right? And I'm going to start looking at the past and saying, it was like this back then. You know, we need to reclaim that, and there's a truth in that, and then, but then it just immediately starts going off into these different branches, right? And so I think that maybe is that what an educated mind is? I mean, I think, is that what a liberal education is this opportunity to take in the big picture, right? Isn't that what the university is the place where we educate ourselves on the university, on the universe? I think so. And then there's that place where we realize the universe isn't enough. And that this microcosm of the universe that I call myself is too small, is too selfish, is too hurt, is too angry, is too resentful, is too jealous, is too rageful, is too unhappy, is too depressed, is too sick to go on. And sometimes what happens is we make an honest approach to God. And we say something to the effect of, this life is over. If you will save it, I will give it to you. And prayers are born out of this, like, God, I offer myself to you. Build with me. Do with me as you will. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do your will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of your power, your love, and your way of life. And we memorize these prayers and we recite them because we have made this decision to turn our will and our life over to the care of God, yes? And then we realize that God is all-consuming, that there is no partial way. Once we open that door, that it leads to this understanding that nothing satisfies, yet we still participate in this form and become satisfied and then become dissatisfied, no matter how much intellect we acquire. And this is what it's like to be a human. For some of us. I think there's a universal story, hopefully somewhere in there, of awakening. You know, Paul said, the things that I want to do, I cannot do, and the things that I don't want to do, I just keep doing them. Seems to be this division, you know, there's this soul in us which hungers and longs for God. And there's this, seems to be this destructive one in us. Who must surrender. That one who trembles in fear. That one who hungers, that one who needs, that one who despairs, that one who despises, that one who hates, and that one who wants what you have, and that one who is so sad that he doesn't get enough attention, you know. All of these parts of us that just, at some point we realize we have no use for them. Yes? At some point we realize we have no use for them. And when we do embody that part of us, then even that part of us just seems to get so sick and tired and just starts, if all that part of us can do is cry out to God because it's so miserable, even though it can't really cry out for God, all it can do is just roll around in anguish and sickness and disgust. There are those of us who know that part of ourselves so intimately. And that, my friend, is where the love comes from. Didn't Christ say that he came for the sick, not for the well? If we don't truly know our own sickness, then we can't truly know the depths of being, I think. There has to be some kind of realization of how destructive we are as an individual and how destructive we can be as a species, right? And then we also, there's that consciousness that we come in, but it's not in the continuing to stare at that where we encounter our freedom, right? Where do we encounter our freedom? By thinking upon that which is perfect and lovely and holy. And then, of course, yes, we're going to encounter the trauma time and time again in this world, yes? That's going to happen. That's just built into it. That's built into the story. It's built into the life of the individual who always passes away, no matter how victorious, no matter how much we may conquer, no matter how much we surrender. This body seems to always pass away. What do we know? What can we know? The absolute materialist, which I have known in myself, is just trying to grasp the true nature of reality. Trying to make peace with what actually is, trying to get over the illusion, right? It's a valid stage in the process of forsaking that which we cannot see, as Peter forsook Christ, as Judas forsook Christ. The sickness, the fear, which does not allow us to be present for the suffering ones we love. What does it truly mean to love God and love our brothers and sisters? How do we come into that together? How do we come into that together? You have been a good friend. And you have been a terrible friend. Do you know that in yourself? Have you had both experiences? I have. Can I make peace with that? Can I see this man who has had a very authentic and genuine struggle? Can I also see this man who's been fearful and sick and given himself away and has been so, and has just been absent? Yeah, I can see both in my very own life. So why would I judge someone else? Because how do I know which part of them I'm witnessing in that moment? And how do I know? I don't know. I just don't know. I can't know. Do I gravitate toward people who seem to have a desire to elevate me? Yes. And I also have a desire to elevate others, to allow that in us which deserves elevation to be elevated. Yes? I think that is admirable, yes? To see the Christ in one another, to see the resurrection in one another, and to say yes to that. Yes, yes, yes. This is the true assembly, my friends. This is the true assembly. You are the true assembly. We are the true assembly. And we must assemble in love, in hope, in faith, in courage, with tenacity, with determination, with endurance and stamina. All of these words that point to a certain intensity, yes? Also generosity, compassion, kindness, softness even, tenderness, a willingness to hold and understand and give room and space for, and also developing a great discipline among us, yes? And these are high forms of human communication, because so many things can go wrong as that is happening, yes? As we're trusting, as we're getting over our stuff, it's bound to go wrong in so many ways. And it is in the going wrong that we rejoice, because we learn to see past the going wrong and into the eternal, into the infinite. This is what we're called to. This is the life abundant, my friends. It was for freedom's sake that Christ set us free. And we are still in the process of setting ourselves free now, in that discipline of taking up our cross, yet realizing the cross is not the final reality. The purpose of the cross is for resurrection, and we were shown that. We were given that example. And yes, Christ did work a salvation for us, in that we see that story, yes? And we say, yes, it has already been done. Yet the only moment that is ever happening is now. Christ is the hero that lives in us, and that hero is to rise up from within and live, and have that same death and resurrection experience. It is his life, it is his story, it is his experience we are to know in ourselves. This is what it means to know the Christ intimately, is to see that life coming to pass, to see that dream arising in us, that dream of salvation, that promise of salvation, that hope of salvation that seems to be innate in us. Now, there are many of us who deny it vehemently, but there's a wisdom in all of that, and there is a time for everything, yes? Because there's so much we have to learn, and there's so much we have to unlearn, right? And that's what God is like, is that we can say there's so much we have to learn, and then we can say there's so much we have to unlearn, and they're both so true, right? This is why the Christ spoke in parables. This is why we still listen to parables. This is why we still read fiction, because we realize that, as Jordan Peterson says frequently, that fiction, it can be truer than the literal. And this is what we have to even understand about our own Christ story that we have read in the Gospels, is that basically what we heard is that salvation has come, and that we are to look inward for the kingdom of heaven, and that we are not to rely on our own righteousness, that we are not to construct our own form that we take too seriously. There's so much to talk about, isn't there? So many words, and so much music to make. Yes? I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you, my friend. I've seen the light, seen the light, seen the light in you.
Seen the light, seen the light, seen the light in you. Seen the light, seen the light, seen the light